Hello again for the Agricolor React. Today we have date night! Yay! And we're watching.
We are watching Why the US and Europe Are Battling for Greenland's Future by DW News.
And, well, there's a European and there's an American here, so I don't think we're gonna put much into perspective of what's going on there, but we're gonna learn. Eric definitely gonna learn something.
I will.
Yeah.
What's Greenland?
Ties to the United States.
Oh.
But
There you go.
the shores of Greenland. This remote island in the Arctic has a problem now.
We need Greenland for national security. One way or the other, we're going to get it.
Geographically part of North America, Greenland has close ties to the United States. But politically, it's part of Europe, as a part of the Kingdom of Denmark. This wasn't an issue before. The US and Denmark are NATO allies and have long cooperated on the island. Until now.
Donald Trump refused to rule out using military force to take control of the island.
Denmark's prime minister has been racing across the continent, trying to shore up support from allies.
What does Trump's longing for Greenland mean for its people?
Do you want Greenland to be bought?
No, not at all.
Why is this island in the far north suddenly so important?
You can think of Greenland as this giant aircraft carrier, sitting in this amazing position.
That's quick. Well, yeah, the position is good because it's kind of like just there. Although, I don't know. I think Trump is just thinking about just making North America as one country, United States of America.
Oh, Mexico too?
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure a lot of people from the
probably,
South are going to like that.
Well, yeah.
So we're protecting our borders our lives, now we're just going to let them walk in. Be American.
Like he's talking about Canada and it's like, well, maybe not
be
Mexico
American,
because I
people
think
in the
there's
States.
a bit of a racist undertones there too. So, but Canada, this country of supposedly white people as well, stuff like that.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know Trump personally, but from what multiple things that he was talking about and things that basically I don't think he realizes there's actually Native Americans in Canada as well. So. He just doesn't realize a lot of things from that video about like, oh, Ukraine have oil? Yeah.
Ching!
Yeah.
Buddy.
Yeah.
Only 57,000 people live in Greenland,
That's it?
Yeah.
which is the world's biggest
Wow.
island. Greenland's towns and settlements are scattered along the coast, including the capital, Nuuk. The island is right between the US, Canada, the European Union, and Russia, and on the shortest route between the European part of Russia and the US. That's why here, the US built one of its most important radar stations at Bidufik Space Base, formerly known as Thule Air Base. The US facility was set up during the Cold War to detect missile launches from the Soviet Union and prepare to strike back.
The job was to build a giant airbase for our largest long-range bombers high on the northwest coast of Greenland at a tiny settlement called Thule. Built with the permission of the Danish government, the base would push our defense line 2,000 miles to the north.
Today, it remains the northernmost US military base in the world. And don't get fooled by this footage. Winters there are brutal. Despite this significant US base, Greenland is actually a part of the Kingdom of Denmark. How did this happen? We will get to that. Denmark is a small European country of 6 million people. And its capital, Copenhagen, is further away from Greenland's capital, Nuuk, than Washington, D.C. Denmark only has a light military footprint in Greenland. Danish troops patrol on dog sleds across the inland. And a few Navy vessels monitor the shores.
It's American power and not Danish power that provides security. Because the Greenlanders know that our base there is ultimately what's going to guarantee their security, and the Danes know it as well.
This is Scott Barry Zellen, an American researcher at the University of Connecticut, specializing in Arctic geopolitics.
And so the fact that Greenland has a strategic role to play and a forward military presence for the US military already means that they are part of our security system.
But Donald Trump is taking it to the next level. He says the US must have control of Greenland because of Russian and Chinese cooperation in the Arctic.
You look outside, you have China ships all over the place. You have Russian ships all over the place. We're not letting that happen.
That
But
has
they're an
stunned
international thing,
Europeans.
isn't it?
In Denmark, we also
Well, if they were
question,
part of
well,
NATO, they would.
what is it?
If the United States was part of NATO,
It is. It's just like with Canada.
yeah, didn't work, right?
Yes.
Yeah, then they have their thingamajig there. They don't need to take control of it. They have their non-state force.
They already have military base there.
I know.
Well, like whatever that old footage was from, like the 50s, 60s.
Yeah.
So it's like that's why I'm like I was I'm just getting a bit like on the thing high horse there, you know, because America have bases pretty much everywhere, like except certain countries, obviously, that they are
Definitely not North Korea.
yeah, that they have. They don't have bases in those countries that they say, oh, they have the bases because it's security from those countries. So there's Russia, there's Belarus, there's North Korea, there's a tiny little amount of other countries that they don't have bases. Even Cuba have a Guantanamo Bay. That's American too. So it's
Yeah.
like,
From what I understand, it's not American. That's why they're allowed to do what they want to.
yeah, but it's an American military base. Yeah, like exactly. We don't
If it's
exactly
not in
know
the
what's
United
going on there,
States,
isn't it?
then,
Yeah.
no.
Well, it's not. What about all the 100,000 American soldiers stationed in Europe? Yeah, and now, like I said, like my sister works with the store and she often deals with those American soldiers. You were not surprised about the fact that American soldiers, when they're stationed in other countries, they don't have to go through passport control. They don't even need the passport to go to the place where they're stationed because they're traveling in those military transports and stuff like that. To me, that was a bit over the top, I think. Like, they should still have passports and stuff like that, because that's one of the problems that they're trying to come and buy stuff on installments and stuff like that, yeah? And they don't have identification for them. They just have the military identification or something, or a driving license. And they can't work on that in Poland, because it's a Polish company, it's in Poland, you're buying in Poland, you should buy it with Polish thing. You can't think that you're just gonna work the same like it is in America. If I'm gonna go as a Polish person to America, I'm not going to be using a only thing, like I'm gonna have to show them documents that they require from me. So if they're not accepting a Polish ID, I'm not going to do anything with the Polish ID. The only ID that I can actually work in America while I'm there, it's only passport, because it's internationally recognized ID. So I don't understand why American soldiers should be treated differently when they station somewhere else. You know, this is my way of thinking, but let's keep going.
Actually, the US want us to do.
Mark Jacobsen is researching Arctic security and diplomacy at the Royal Danish Defence College, which is under the oversight of the Danish Armed Forces.
What we know is that they want Denmark to increase surveillance of Greenland. It's important to remember that Greenland is half the size of Europe. So even if Denmark used all its military budget on increasing surveillance of Greenland, we would never know everything what's going on there.
Surveillance is especially important between Greenland, Iceland, and the UK. In this area called the GI-UK gap, this naval choke point is a crucial part of NATO strategy to detect and contain Russian ships, especially submarines,
waters though, isn't
moving between the Arctic and the Atlantic.
Yeah.
Denmark is now investing in new ships and drones to deploy in the far north. It wants to keep sharing defense responsibility for Greenland with the US. That cooperation started after Nazi Germany occupied Denmark in World War II. The Danish ambassador in Washington agreed that the US should occupy Greenland and construct military bases on the island to prevent a German invasion. More than 10,000 US fighters and bombers landed in Greenland on their way to the war in Europe. Greenland proved such a strategic asset that in 1946, the US wanted to buy it from Denmark for $100 million in gold. The offer was rejected, but both countries kept it secret at the time.
Interesting.
Not long after, both countries became founding members of NATO. Denmark agreed US troops should stay. And in 1951, the two countries signed a treaty on common defense of Greenland. It is still in effect today. That's why Trump's threat to take Greenland is such a big deal.
We're now the greatest threat to Danish unity, not the Russians, not the Chinese, but America, their NATO partner.
And this tension is not only about security. In February 2025, a US Senate committee held a hearing revealing much broader interest in the island, for example from the US mining industry.
Greenland's entire coastline holds what is indisputably one of the world's greatest collection of minerals in one jurisdiction. Throw a dart at any portion of the coastline and you will undoubtedly hit a potential world-class target.
So that's what
Just
it
look
is,
at
the
this map
actual
of mineral
reason,
resources
is it?
provided by Greenland's government. Precious metals, base metals, industrial rocks, and rare metals, including rare earths. This is just a hint of the resources in Greenland. But most of it remains largely untapped.
It's important to remember that there's very little mining activity in Greenland. All these stories about Greenland's riches in terms of mineral resources, it's still far on the horizon.
There are just 2 active mines in Greenland, and only about 100 people currently work in Greenland's mining sector. Exploration is very challenging. Take this mineral deposit site in the south of Greenland, for example. It is said to be among the world's top rare earth deposits outside China. But in 2021, the Greenland government stopped exploration here, because the site also contains radioactive uranium and is close to populated areas. But it's not just environmental concerns. Extracting resources is a lot costlier here than in most other places. There are no roads linking Greenland settlements. And the terrain is rough, with deep fjords, glaciers, and icy mountain ranges. The climate is harsh.
Yeah. So that's making it more expensive to actually get any of that stuff out. Do you think that the real reason for it is not the security, but the actual stuff that is like? This is just. Did you notice there was just above, around the coast stuff?
Yeah.
Nothing. Like obviously they haven't really done because there's all icebergs. There's icebergs or glaciers and stuff like that in the middle of the island. So they don't really exactly know what can be underneath it and underneath that land. So if there's so much on the just of the thing, so if and Trump. Pulling out from all those like no dig, no thing on the coastlines of America and stuff like that. So
yeah,
that's probably what happened.
Well, to tell a perfect lie, you kind of tell the truth.
Yeah.
We're there for security, but you don't tell them we're there for the minerals.
Yeah.
So
there's
like 100 other things they're there for. They just won't tell everybody.
Yeah, the security is probably the smallest part.
Yeah,
of it.
just for them to say, oh yeah, security. We like security.
Yeah.
Yeah, go Trump.
Yeah.
Get those Mexicans out of Greenland. Yeah.
Greenland.
But it is changing due to the climate crisis.
Whether you're for or against it, ice just melts. It's melting faster. It's melting more rapidly. And it's creating opportunity as ice retreats in time to have greater accessibility to interior natural resources.
And it's also affecting the ocean around Greenland. This visualization from NASA shows the reduction of ice pack in the Arctic between the 1980s and 2019. But instead of a wake-up call, many companies and countries see it as an economic opportunity.
Yeah.
They're waiting for new shipping routes to open in the Arctic.
Too.
3 of them in particular. The Northwest Passage through the top of the Canadian archipelago. The Northern Sea Route along the Russian coast. And the Transpolar Sea Route. These routes could cut shipping time between Asia and Europe, because for most destinations they're much shorter than the current route via the Suez Canal. For now, navigation across the Arctic is limited and relies on expensive icebreakers. So both mining as well as new shipping routes remain something for the future.
Should we start looking into hovercrafts?
Right now, fishing is the mainstay of Greenland's economy. But that is not enough. That's why Denmark has to chip in. Every year, Denmark sends a grant of about 500 million euros to Greenland's government. It's about half of its budget, nearly 10,000 euros per resident every year, a major factor for the island's economy.
That money runs everything. And without it, you end up with impoverished native villages without economies and implode socially.
But it's not charity. Denmark gets something out of it as well.
Because we have Greenland, we kind of get a larger say with the great powers such as US, but also Canada and Russia. So it means a lot politically. Denmark kind of punches above its weight in international politics.
Whether Denmark likes it or not, most Greenlanders do not see their long-term future with Denmark.
But I don't think they see it with America either. The most logical thing would be Canada.
Inuit
or its
people
own
have
country.
lived on the island for thousands of years. They survived by subsistence hunting of whales and seals. Their culture was based in the middle of nature.
Or scarier, Russia could take it.
That's
Modern Danish colonization started in 1721 with the first Danish settlements. Over the next 200 years, Christianity and the Danish language were pushed on the Inuit. Their families were torn apart, and that trauma left a legacy.
Unfortunately, that happened in all of the Americas.
Only after World War II, a slow process of decolonization started. Step by step, Greenland became an equal part of the Kingdom of Denmark, elected its own parliament and government. Today, it is a semi-autonomous territory. This means that it governs its own domestic affairs. Denmark is still responsible for security and foreign policy. But Greenland has the right to declare independence if it decides to do so in a referendum. And the government of Greenland says that's its goal. Polls suggest a clear majority support such a step.
Of course, in the future, I will prefer independent Greenland.
We are own people. We are not Danish. We are Greenlandic people, and we want to be free.
And what about Trump's plans for the island?
Do you want Greenland to be bought?
No, not at all. No.
Why not?
Because it's our land and we have our culture, language, and we're starting to get our own way of life.
I don't really like this idea, like being part of United States, America. What I do like is I like to work with them, for example.
This is a common opinion here, because building the island's economy is the biggest challenge on the way to independence. That is why Greenland is looking for partners.
Carrying 2 pallets at once.
It has representative offices in Iceland, the EU, the US, and China. It has also signed cooperation agreements on mineral exploration with the US and the EU. So it is trying to keep its options open. For Greenland, the US is an increasingly important business partner and had long guaranteed its security. So Trump's interests could easily lead to a wider discussion about Greenland's future.
I would certainly think that some Greenlanders will want to talk about it, just because this kind of attention by the White House, this kind of attention by the world, it's like a once-in-a-generation opportunity.
Internationally, it will be relevant how Trump proceeds. For US allies in Europe, the issue of Greenland is part of a growing recognition that the Trump administration could even pose a threat to their security.
So Greenland strategically, through the lens of Trump's grand strategy, is this idea of strengthening North America as their primary security focus for the government. So it's the America first on steroids.
He was there on that meeting with Zelensky, did you see it?
No.
He was there sitting in the background. Yeah. So like, that's what he grew up. Like, well, it's 2025, the first time when he became president was 2016, so nearly 10 years ago. He's 19 now, so he was like, what, 10 or something like that? I think 19 or 20, something like that. He was a kid when he first time got to do, so it's too late for him to be worried about him.
If he be president one day, it's going to be a lot worse than Trump. My opinion.
Listen, if he's gonna be voted in, I'd rather that than being like, you know, like passed down in the freaking thing because Trump gonna change everything and just gonna be an actual monarchy. Yeah.
If America be a president.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why Denmark is seeking support from other European countries.
It's been very clever from the Danish government to not making this an issue between the US and Denmark, but making it between Europe and the US, because we are way stronger together with the other European states.
But the outcome of this dispute will be closely observed all around the world, especially if Trump forces Denmark or Greenland into a deal.
Trump is really talking about doing to Denmark what Putin is doing to Ukraine and what China wants to do to Taiwan. And so all that might be like a transition to a new world order that Russia, China, and America might now all share the same strategic vision of spheres of influence being reestablished.
In a world increasingly determined by the whims of great powers, will Greenlanders even get a say in determining their own future?
That's the important part now, I think, in this. That they should have some say as well. They want independence. But they understand that to get the independence, they have to work on building their economy and stuff like that. And obviously, the fact about them being such a small population as well, it's not going to be easy for them. But they have things that they could do, you know, like all those minerals and stuff like that, yeah? But the other thing is, they're going to need to rely on someone to protect them too. So, that's the problem. That's like you said, they're too small to protect themselves, and the island is too big.
Yeah.
So, like,
if the effort taken without NATO. If it was just Denmark defending it, I think it'll still be part of Denmark.
No, I don't think so. I mean, there would be no American. I don't know, like kind of like looking into history for past some time now, and it's just like it looks like America literally since First War just. You know, wow, we're in such a great geopolitical situation now that we can force other countries to just rely on us. Like literally, that's what we're saying. The world sheriff, is it? Sometimes they call America. There used
world
to be
police.
like a world police and something.
Yeah.
Oh, you're laughing about the thing, is
the
cartoony thingy? Like,
whatever it's called, puppets. Yeah.
But it's kind of like seems like I was kind of laughing from it like 20 years ago because mostly there was talk about that when Bush was president, and you know the war in Afghanistan after 9/11 came up and things like that, and like that was kind of funny. But I was obviously younger; I didn't know that much. And now looking for past whatever years, I don't even pay attention that much to politics. But still, there's something always kind of like trickle down to me, the information and stuff. So it's like. All the history when you start learning about how America like forced to take over Hawaii or Panama or what they did, like some historian did say that most of the wars and problems in, let's say, Africa in past 50 years, something like that, was fueled by America as well. So it's like, what they gonna do with Greenland? I would like them to be either how they are now, because they would rather to be independent, but they are relying on Danish government and stuff on the money as well. But I don't think, I don't know, maybe I'm just being really in the wrong way here because of I'm European and I just don't want America to get another that piece of land. And like looking at the fact that they're kind of looking into all mining and stuff like that there and ruining all that environment again.
Hey, if there's money to get available.
He's such an American.
Yeah. Who cares about the land so far away, right?
Yeah. Unfortunately, some people are like that, isn't it?
Most Americans.
So?
Most people from the United States. Yes, it's all about the United States. It's all about money.
Capitalism.
They don't care about the people. You know, as long as they pay tax dollars. If you can't pay tax dollars, then you're not worth anything. Human life is not worth a dime.
It's a sad way of living, isn't it?
That's how they do it. They thrive on the poor, the needy, the vulnerable.
And now they seem like they're just kicking them in where they're lying down.
Yes.
Again.
They don't care about homelessness, poverty. You know, all they care about is hey, you're having a kid, future taxpayer.
That's true, isn't it?
Yeah.
Anything else?
No.
No. That was kind of sad beginning of our recording today.
Yeah.
Oh well, we'll see. I have something else extra for you. Yeah, I think you're gonna like it.
Video games or food?
Probably both.
Nice! Yeah, right.
I'll see you tomorrow and I see Eric next week. Bye!